Now here is where it gets personal. The single most powerful activator of autophagy that researchers have identified is not a drug. It is not a supplement. It is not a specific food or exercise protocol. It is the absence of food. When you fast, when insulin drops to low levels and your cells detect that no new nutrients are arriving, autophagy activates. The cellular cleaning crews come out. The damaged proteins get tagged for recycling. The dysfunctional mitochondria get dismantled and replaced. The cellular debris that has been accumulating gets cleared. Your body, deprived of external resources, turns inward. And what it finds inside, it cleans. This is not a metaphor. This is measurable biochemistry. Researchers can observe autophagy markers in blood and tissue samples. They can see the autophagosums forming. They can measure the rate at which damaged proteins are being cleared. And what they consistently find is that fasting, even relatively short periods of fasting, produces a rapid and significant increase in autophagic activity. The question is not whether fasting activates autophagy. That is established science. The question is how long, how often, and what specifically happens in your body when you allow this system to run. Let me walk you through the timeline, because this is where the science becomes genuinely remarkable. In the first 8 to 12 hours of fasting, your body is primarily clearing its glycogen stores, the glucose reserves held in your liver and muscles. Insulin levels are falling. Autophagy is beginning to ramp up, but it is still in early activation. Between 12 and 16 hours, something shifts. Insulin has dropped significantly. Glucagon, the hormone that signals cellular recycling and energy mobilization, is rising. Autophagy is now running at measurably elevated levels. This is the window that most intermittent fasting protocols target, and for good biochemical reason. Between 16 and 24 hours, autophagic activity reaches its peak in most tissues. This is when the deepest cellular cleaning occurs. Damaged mitochondria are being cleared and replaced. A process called mitophagy misfolded. Proteins are being dismantled. Inflammatory cellular debris is being removed. Beyond 24 hours, additional processes activate, including stem cell mobilization in the gut and immune system. But for most people, practicing regular intermittent fasting, the 16 to 24-hour window is where the most significant and sustainable benefits occur. Now I want to connect this to something we have discussed in previous videos on this channel, because autophagy does not operate in isolation. It is part of a broader biological conversation that involves your nervous system, your mitochondria, and your breath. When your vagus nerve is well-toned, when your parasympathetic nervous system is strong, autophagy runs more efficiently. The reason is straightforward. Chronic sympathetic dominance, the state of low-grade stress that suppresses repair, also suppresses autophagic activity. Your body in stress mode does not invest in cellular cleaning. It conserves resources for the perceived emergency. This is why the practices we have covered, humming, nasal breathing, the breath and cold protocol, are not separate interventions. They are part of the same biological system. Vagal tone supports autophagic activity. Nitric oxide supports cellular oxygenation during the cleaning process. Mitochondrial biogenesis provides the energy infrastructure that autophagy depends on. Fasting activates the cleaning mechanism. The other practices create the conditions in which that cleaning can happen most effectively. They are not competing approaches. They are a protocol. Let me now address the practical questions. Because autophagy is not an all-or-nothing intervention. It is a spectrum. Your daily choices either move you toward it or away from it. The most accessible entry point is a daily eating window. Compressing your meals into an 8 to 10 hour window, eating between noon and 8 in the evening, for example, gives your body 14 to 16 hours of fasting every single day. 14 to 16 hours is enough to activate meaningful autophagic activity consistently, without requiring extended fasting or significant lifestyle disruption. What breaks autophagy? Calories do. Specifically, insulin-raising foods. A black coffee in the morning, no milk, no sugar, does not significantly interrupt autophagy. Water, plain tea, black coffee. Everything else should wait until your eating window opens. Exercise during the fasted state amplifies autophagic activity. When you combine fasting with physical movement, even moderate movement like walking, the cellular stress signal is stronger and autophagy activates more rapidly. This is not complicated exercise science. It is your body responding to the combination of nutrient absence and physical demand by accelerating its cleaning and renewal processes. Sleep is the most underutilized autophagy window that most people already have. 7 to 8 hours of sleep is 7 to 8 hours of fasting. If your last meal is at 8 in the evening and you eat breakfast at 7 the next morning, you have an 11-hour autophagy window every single night without any conscious effort. Push your last meal to 7 and your first meal to 11. You have 16 hours. The system is already available. You just have to stop interrupting it. There's one more connection I want to make before closing, and it is perhaps the most important. Autophagy is not just a physical process. Its effects on the brain are among the most compelling findings in the entire field of longevity research. The brain is the most metabolically active organ in your body. It produces more cellular waste per unit of energy than any other tissue, and it has its own specialized cleaning system, the glymphatic system, that operates primarily during sleep, and fasting to clear the metabolic debris that accumulates during waking hours. The protein aggregates associated with Alzheimer's disease, amyloid beta and tau, are precisely the kind of misfolded, damaged proteins that autophagy is designed to clear. Researchers studying neurodegenerative disease have found consistent evidence that autophagic dysfunction precedes the accumulation of these proteins by years, sometimes decades, before symptoms appear. This does not mean fasting prevents Alzheimer's. The science is not yet at the level of making that claim, but it does mean that supporting autophagic activity consistently over years appears to be one of the most meaningful things a person can do to maintain long-term brain health. The brain fog that so many people experience, the slow decline in mental sharpness that most people attribute to aging. Some significant portion of this may be accumulated cellular debris that a well-functioning autophagic system would have cleared if it had been given the time and conditions to run. Let me close with what I find most remarkable about all of this. Yoshinori Ohsumi won the Nobel Prize in 2016 for discovering a mechanism that your body has been running for hundreds of millions of years. Every organism on Earth with a nucleus, every plant, every animal, every human being who has ever lived has autophagy. It is not new biology. It is ancient biology, and for most of human history, it ran constantly because food was not always available. Periods of fasting were not a wellness choice, they were a biological reality. Your body evolved in an environment where the cleaning system ran regularly, automatically, because the alternative fuel was always temporarily unavailable. Modern life changed that, not dramatically, not suddenly, just gradually, meal by meal, snack by snack, until the cleaning system that your cells depend on for renewal almost never gets the signal to start. You are not broken. Your cells are not failing. Your biology is doing exactly what it was designed to do in an environment of constant abundance, storing, building, and waiting for the signal that it is time to clean. That signal is silence, the silence of an empty stomach. 14 hours, 16 hours, a window in every day where your cells can do what they have always known how to do. Give them that window and watch what your body remembers how to be.